Today on the Nerdy Gritty, recently, the idea of another comic book crossover between Marvel and DC has been suggested. How could this reinvigorate the declining comic book industry?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm Fox.
I'm Dez.
I don't know if you saw recently, there was basically a little Animal Crossing, specifically a direct, essentially, or just like an announcement of upcoming stuff coming out.
And it was just eggs. It was the word eggs over and over again.
Eggs. It was like Hypnotoad, but it was the bunny, Zipper or whatever. Zippy, and then just oh man. Anytime I go to another island and I see an egg item that you can DIY, I have like
You
flat.
I go set the island on fire.
No, I have like that 1,000-yard stare, like just remembering the bad times. Anyway, so they announced the next 3, like a bunch of stuff, a whole lot of stuff actually. Next 3 big events happening though, and one of them actually has already started. It is Earth Day. Nature Day? Nature Times?
Cool. Nature Times.
That's what it's featuring Animal Crossing. But basically it's, their version of Earth Day where you can do Earth Day specific things. You get a guy who comes to your island and sells shrubs. This is what Animal Crossing is. A guy comes to your island and sells shrubs, and you're just like, yes! So pumped about this! What we need to do is we need to help Nintendo, because they've really been just dropping the ball constantly
when it comes to Animal Crossing, it has not been going well.
Nobody likes it. But we need to help them out. What are some events that we can suggest to them? What would be good to do in the game of Animal Crossing New Horizons?
So we talked about this a little bit beforehand,
Sure.
The idea, and immediately, I feel like we're ripe for this. Superhero events.
Oh!
Capes, hammers, robot suits.
Now here's the thing. I like it, but it everything they've done so far is tied into something that's happening in the real world. I don't say that has to happen, but how would that be involved? What would that, maybe May 5th, or whatever the free comic book day.
Yeah, something like that would have been, yes. Or maybe they wait until like the dropping of the next Avengers stuff.
Ooh, that's not going to happen, yeah. But no, but I like it. It does kind of go with, I think Halloween obviously is going to have some big event.
Yeah.
It's going to be like Spooky Day or something like that, but costumes, and you can go to your villagers and even villagers on other islands and trick or treat and get items in the game that you can then, you get candy and you can turn it in and get prizes for the amount of candy you collect or something.
I want to say I have a list of these ideas, but they're all very Dez. This is just my first one. I have a
one
list
of them's
of
one of them's early 2000s emo music. One of them's Nightmare Before Christmas specifically.
Exclusively.
You have to dress up like Jack Skellington.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There you go. Yeah.
Wow,
you got him.
Your that's
I'll
what your
my
list is.
Off.
No, but I think Halloween's ripe for the taking. So many cool costumes you can put on.
But specifically the superhero day would I think would hit.
Oh, that'd be a fun one.
Yeah, for a lot of people. And again, robot costume armor, not Iron Man. Hammer.
Oh yeah,
not Thor.
It'd be basically Nintendo would go to your local Spirit of Halloween and get inspiration from your knockoff. This is Metal Man. Metal Hero.
Dark Vigilante.
With
pointy hood.
Flying Rat Man. This is Arachnid Boy. Oh, those would be fun. I mean,
okay. I was going to my next idea. What's your next idea?
That's all I got. There's a lot of great stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, I got more.
This is just our intro. This could be a whole topic now. I'm learning about it. Oh, fantasy time or something. Yeah.
Yep. Renaissance Festival, just knight's armor, toy swords, things like that. And specifically, they'd say toy sword or
100%.
Or wooden sword. So they're not actually.
Well,
because Animal Crossing is.
No, they might.
Really? Have sword?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, they do have axe.
If it was just like a statue or something, it wasn't like a weapon you're holding in your hand.
No, something that you could carry around with you.
All right, maybe. Yeah, no. But regardless, I love the Renaissance Fair idea.
That'd be so cool.
And
man.
you get specific people coming to your island who are like selling, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of it would have to be like environmental stuff that you created, like a jousting arena.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah, that's a great idea. Man, maybe we should do a whole episode about this. This is really fun to talk about.
Okay. In case we do, I had 2 more. I'll keep
Right.
them
Let's
myself.
keep them to the back pocket. Plus, we got plenty of stuff else, plenty of other things to talk about.
We do.
Let's talk about what's in the news.
Yeah. I got something pretty interesting here. You and I like The Office. We watched The Office.
I would watch The Office 7 or 8 times all the way through.
I watched it much, much later.
One time.
One time.
You coward.
But for whatever reason,
Just kidding.
It's weird to me because we have been talking about how little I remember from the Infinity Saga when I watched it last because
Yeah.
I was so doped up from all my pain medication.
Your drug habit.
For whatever reason, I do vividly remember The Office.
Yeah. It's a great show.
It
But you did watch it at the same
I watched
time,
it at the same time, yeah.
Interesting.
It's really
It's
weird.
a funny show.
It was very good. What would you say? Jim and Pam relationship. You go ahead. What do you feel about Jim and Pam's relationship?
It's why you keep coming back to the show.
It sure is.
It's why you emotionally care about it. It's not realistic, except for when they tried to make it realistic and it became less good, like
I
toward later
disagree.
seasons.
I actually like that a lot. I think
it helped
grounded
a little bit. There was a little bit. I felt like it was too late for that stuff to happen. I feel like more of that should have happened early on. But anyway,
Okay, that's fair.
um,
What about
is great.
a relationship between John Krasinski and Jenna Fisher? Does that ever pops in your head?
well, obviously, you wonder if they were, had their chemistry was so good that you wanted them to kind of like be together. It's like Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. When
Yeah,
you hear
there's
about
always
them
that
having a
thought.
child, you're just like, great. That Jackie and Kelso back together forever.
Are they really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good for them.
Oh yeah.
Jenna Fisher had to recently clear up the office rumor about Pam's ring from Jim. There has been a rumor going on, apparently, that Jenna Fisher to this day wears the ring that Jim gave Pam on the show.
This is the problem with fandom.
I want to know what kind of fan you have to be to assume that 2 separately married people are still like, why are you so obsessed with me? Like,
It's literally what like fandom inspires, like a weird level of this has to be real. But yeah, no, I think I saw her response was like, nope, I wear the one that my husband of
Yes,
10 years has given me.
exactly. Like,
There are speedrunners.
yes.
There are people who try to break like boundaries in games to try to find like Easter eggs and stuff like that. Did you know that there are society like groups, clubs of people who specifically try to create and execute cool, awesome stunts in games?
I did know this about Smash 64.
So there is in Halo Reach a Easter egg where there is a statue of Master Chief, just kind of in the last level, basically off in the distance. I'm not even positive if you can see it from the game, but because these boundaries can be broken and because people, they like the games and they found it. There's just a statue of Master Chief who is not in Halo Reach.
Right.
There's like a reference to him. Since then,
Uh-oh.
there is a group, Terminacious Trickocity is the
Terminacious
is the
Trickocity.
group.
I feel like that's a 1993 rollerblading group.
Well, this came from they are at least 10 years old.
We are Terminacious Trickocity.
Terminacious Trickocity, or like a cool like.
and we are fresh to death.
Yeah, like a hip hop.
Don't do drugs.
Now let me do some cool hacky sack challenges, teens. Anyway, so basically they made it their goal in life. So this thing is so far out of reach that you have to break through the boundaries during a cutscene.
Oh,
Essentially,
okay.
like you would get on this dropship and then leave. There's a lot to it. I don't want to get into it. There's a whole millions amounts of things. It's the last level of
Just
the
to
game.
get to the statue?
Yes, just to be
Okay.
able to even see the statue. And essentially you have to break boundaries, you have to bring items across the level, you have to put a box in the right place, you have to have at least 4 players
Jeez.
working together. You have to use an armor thing at the right time so that it like the boundary is broken or whatever, so that you can get through the cutscene without having control taken away. And basically the goal this whole time was to be able to jump at the right spot off of this thing and then onto a box, and then somebody else would snipe a grenade next to the box and launch you up into the air and so that you could fall from 500 feet in the air and land on top of Master Chief. This has been a thing in the works for 10 years now, since Halo Reach came out, and it finally just happened.
Hey, honest question. If you could have one celebrity come to your Animal
Danny
Crossing
DeVito.
island...
Just kidding. Actually, no, that'd be good.
That'd be pretty cool.
I know what we're talking about, but yeah.
Who would it be?
I don't know who it would be. Who would I want to have on my island? Martin Scorsese.
Really?
I know he's an avid player. No, I'm just making that up. I don't know.
Me, it'd 100% be like them behind the screen at the same time, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
They're dressed all dapper.
They're wonderful. I love them. But Elijah Wood just visited somebody's island.
Yeah.
So the way people have been doing the stock mart in
Stock market.
Man. In Animal Crossing is they will just tweet sometimes, hey, here's my code or whatever.
I'm at this. I'm buying for this much.
And yeah, they're buying. Somebody tweeted, hey, I'm buying for 599 bells. And so obviously it went nuts. And then she got a pretty unexpected DM from one Elijah Wood.
Elijah freaking Wood.
Elijah Wood was just like, hey, can I get your island?
Come to your island? Yeah.
Can I come visit? And apparently he was just like the sweetest guy in the world.
So, Games Done Quick is a speedrunning
GDQ?
marathon charity that happens twice a year. There's awesome Games Done Quick and summer Games Done Quick. But because, and they usually make, they've been setting records every single time for how much money they raise. It's for charity. They usually raise it for Doctors Without Borders. So, for example, Awesome Games Done Quick that happened before the quarantine kind of stuff started. They raised, I think, $3.2 million.
It is awesome
in a week, and it's purely just from people watching
and
saying, "Hey, it's like a classic, like a what do you call it? Like a phone, like one of those TV like phonathons or whatever you call them, like telethons, like that." But it's just for people who want to watch speedrunning, and it's amazing. And they did one not impromptu, but pretty quickly threw together a weekend version specifically for COVID-19 research. And it was 3 days, and it was entirely people in their own homes live streaming their own gaming. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you have video of people.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't get the audience, you don't get the couch, which watching them is definitely a different atmosphere because there's a big community atmosphere to even just watching it. You have the couch that's doing commentary, and you have a whole giant audience behind. These were a lot less, but they still raised over 3 days $400,000.
That's amazing
for COVID-19 research, and it's entirely just watching people speedrun. All right, well that's some of the news. What have you been up to this week?
A lot of movies. We end up watching a lot of movies as a family. We finally finished the Infinity Saga last night.
Right.
We watched Spider-Man Far From Home. My wife's first time watching it, just my second time watching it. They do such a good job in both of those movies, the Spider-Man movies.
I love them.
Of balancing cute teen
drama,
or
it's essentially like a brat pack movie from the 80s,
and it's so fun. But also, hey, he's an incredible superhero.
I learned that the classic Bond movies are being taken off of
Amazon
at May 1st. So I got some time.
Go.
I'm not really going to watch all of them. I've been watching all the originals, like the classic ones, earliest ones.
And just cringing.
Yeah. This week I watched From Russia with Love and Goldfinger, which are the second and third ones.
Right.
From Russia with Love is fine. Here's the thing. They're all just, standard, what we would call standard Bond movies. But Goldfinger is also really where Bond straight up becomes he sexually assaults people.
Yeah.
He straight up I'm going to say the name of the character in the third one, Goldfinger. Her name is Pussy Galore.
Right.
That was her name. A innuendo at the time, of course. It's not innuendo anymore.
No, it is.
That was just an innuendo at the time and kind of like wink, wink. Hey, look at our funny movie. Now it's not. But anyway, she is a villain for most of the movie.
Right.
Until he essentially forces her. It shows him It shows him like trying to seduce her. She's pretty much, no, I'm not on your side. Like, I wouldn't fall for you.
Right.
And then he basically pushes her to the ground and literally holds her down and then kisses her. And then she kind of collapses into
She succumbs.
She succumbs to his manliness.
On the exact opposite end of the spectrum, my family watched Moana again recently.
Ah, yes.
And holy crap, I love that movie so much for the way that it empowers young women.
Yeah.
But not in spite of or directly in like the shadow of men. Like, she's not a hero even though the man held her down or anything like that. Like, it has nothing to do with her gender. She just is.
Yeah. She just struggles with something that everybody can struggle with.
And she is amazing at it and does a fantastic job with it. And that scene where she's on the boat and she's like, I am Moana.
Yeah.
And then she sails off like, oh, so good.
Is it
Such
is
a
the
good
song
moment.
How Far I'll Go? Is that one?
That's the original one.
Okay.
That
That
one.
one's my favorite from that. I remember I went and saw that in theaters and I recently like remembered that song and I watched it on YouTube because that's a great song.
It's so good. It really is.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, when you watch, is again just very, very good, really enjoyable. The kind of thing that like for a long time young girls would say, I want to be that character, boy lead character. This is the kind of movie that my son, when we first saw it, was like, I want to be Moana.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And that's awesome. Super cool.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I finished the game Control.
Oh,
This
finally.
week.
There you go.
Yeah, it took a long time. It had a cool setting, a really interesting like concept behind just like the paranormal, but also just the weird things that happen in life. It reminded me of American Gods a little bit, where it gave like power to like roadside attractions because it brought people to them.
Yeah.
And things like that. And it kind of does something similar in Control, and the setting is really cool, and the characters are great, and I like the story. But some of the load screens took way too long. When you died, you were brought back to the most recent
Autosave or whatever.
too far back, essentially. And before you could jump back into the fight you were in, you had to run for 3 minutes, where nothing would happen during that running.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is more loading time.
Yeah.
But I have to run through it. And there's a lot of stuff in it that just by the time I was like 75% of the way through the game, I was just like, I want to be done with this. The last thing I have today, I've been playing Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh, yeah.
And I played through the story. That was the first thing I did. And it was so dumb. The game is fine. It's a fine fighting game. I like the characters. They're classic Mortal Kombat characters. I like the guest characters. Spawn is a really good fit and really fun to play with, and just a ridiculous character.
Nice.
But the story is, and I told you this, in Final Fantasy VII, in the original, spoiler, I guess, but you probably know that this happens. Aerith, one of the main characters.
Big spoiler. Just in case.
Everybody knows about this, but
if
big
they
spoiler.
don't-
You're right. I'm so sorry. Big spoiler for Final Fantasy VII, probably in the remake also.
Right.
Aerith, a main character, dies.
Yes.
And not just in battle, here's a phoenix down. She dies in a cutscene. And that's all I'll say about what...
That is one thing, just real quick, that I think the remake does really, really well, is they make it seem like the person's passed out, and a Phoenix Down brings them from being passed out.
Well, sure.
Not like in the all original JRPGs where they're dead, and this brings them back to life.
Right.
But then they die in a cutscene, and they're actually dead.
Sure, but that's the side effect of somebody actually quote-unquote dying in a game where you can just bring them back to life is...
Right.
I got Phoenix Down out the wazoo. Bring her back, man. She got stabbed. That happens every single battle. What's the problem? And that's the thing with like Mortal Kombat is the over the top violence and the things you do in the fights, like just the ridiculous fatalities and all of that undercut everything that happens in a cutscene. So it's like you can straight up murder Kano 100,000 different ways while you're fighting him in a match. But then in a cutscene, he gets shot in the face and dies. You're like, I shot you 40 times in that last fight. What just happened?
My last thing is that I watched on Disney Plus the Disney Singalong, which is... So it's Disney Singalong, and it's a super cool thing where it's essentially like a telethon, like you were saying, although I don't think it actually raised any money. I think it's just them saying like, hey, awareness. It's all about awareness of COVID-19 stuff and the essential workers out there. There's a lot of thank yous to essential workers and
Okay.
whatnot. But it's famous people in their home singing Disney songs with the little bouncing ball and the lyrics,
Oh.
and you're there to sing along with them. And it was super cool. I mean, everybody from like Donny Osmond to Ariana Grande
Okay.
to Josh Gad.
All right,
to,
makes sense.
Like everybody, all kinds of people. It was super cool.
All
And
right.
yeah, I thought I'd just say, go check that out, guys. If you love Disney songs, it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay,
I really did.
great.
That's all I got.
That's samesies.
Yep. All right. Let's go and get down to that there all nerdy gritty.
Darn tootin'.
Hey everybody, before we get down to the nerdy gritty, I just want to point out that if you're hearing this, you are listening to the short version of the podcast of the nerdy gritty. If you are interested in hearing what we call the director's cut, you can head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/dezandfox. And if you become a tier 2 or tier 3 patron, either $5 or $10 a month, then you would get access to the director's cut, which is a much longer version, usually about 20 minutes, 25 minutes of bonus content, as well as you'll gain access to all of the other content that we put on our Patreon. That means bonus videos, that means exclusive content, content you get before it comes out on YouTube, lots of games that we play. But if you can't do that, we really appreciate you for just listening, for liking, for sharing, for just being a fan. So thank you very much. Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
So if you guys weren't aware of this, unfortunately, the print comic book industry, or I guess like the actual panel comic book industry,
Yeah, the physical comic book
Yeah.
industry.
is on a pretty big decline right now.
It has been for a while.
Yeah.
People have kind of exaggerated a little bit, but it has been for a while, and the whole quarantine thing has not helped.
Not at all.
A little backstory here, a little setting to set the stage. There is essentially a monopoly in the actual physical publishing arena of comic books. There is Diamond Publishers, who handle both Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
And they are the ones who publish, or not publish, but distribute. That's what it is. They don't publish Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC publish Marvel and DC.
Right.
But they distribute all of their physical books to the entire country, which is crazy.
Yes.
Somehow they have been allowed to do this for a very long time. There have been complaints about it for a long time. It just hasn't really seemed to matter. And they decided a few months ago, toward the beginning of the stay-at-home orders, hey, we're going to shut down. We're not going to be distributing our comics. And that obviously has put a very massive damper
Yeah.
on the physical comic book sales industry, because that's where all those comics came from. Marvel decided to not publish, to discontinue or temporarily put a hold on publishing a very large portion of their popular comics, and
Right.
DC has done similarly. And obviously whatever they have published has been entirely digital through their whatever, ways that they publish digitally.
So also at the same time, there have been a lot of suggestions or people just calling for, or honestly just talks
Yeah.
of another Marvel and DC crossover.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know this, back in the 90s, there was what was called the Marvel versus DC series, in which the two overbeings of the Marvel universe and the DC universe decide to pit their universes against each other to see which one is better. And so characters have to fight each other. Eventually, two choose not to, Batman and Captain America. And because of that, instead of them resolving the conflict, they join together.
Right. And you get your
And
amalgams.
Amalgam Comics was a thing for a while,
Yeah.
which was really interesting, in which there were combined heroes like Super Soldier, Captain America and Superman. Dark Claw was Wolverine and Batman,
My
which
favorite.
is the coolest.
The coolest, lamest comic thing ever.
Yes. Hyena was Joker and Sabretooth mixed together.
Oh, man.
Doctor Strange Fate is self-explanatory. Doctor Strange and
Doctor
Doctor
Strange.
Fate, which if Doctor Strange Fate takes his helmet off, you realize he is actually Professor Xavier. And
Okay.
there's these weird combinations of characters and whatnot. Anyway, it was super cool. it was huge for comics at the time.
Right.
All these iconic characters. It was basically
Who wouldn't
like,
want to see that?
Yeah.
That's every comic book fan's dream is my hero's better than your hero.
I was about to make a sports reference to emphasize how exciting this was, but really it should be the other way around for this crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm trying to talk about sports, I would refer to comics.
Right. Yeah, that'd be helpful for me also.
Yeah. But so yeah, the World Series before it was created, it's the hype of a Marvel versus DC because the American League and National League had never met before that. Yeah,
crazy. So Gail Simone, who is a very famous, she's a very popular writer for the comic book industry. She does a lot of DC stuff. She has written for Wonder Woman and Birds of Prey and Batgirl and a lot of secret Deadpool she did for a little while. Secret Six, which I think is a third non-Marvel or DC thing. Lots of stuff going on. She tweeted about, hey, this is a thing we should do, and suggested, hey, it should be these. I want to see let's see, Gail Simone. You could have a Thor Wonder Woman story by Donny Cates, and who's currently writing Thor. But anyway, and so she passed it on, and the whole industry, like writers and artists and all that stuff, started coming up with their ideas. Like, here's my suggestions for who should be in this. And it ignited a storm of, hey, this should be a thing.
Yeah.
It's time for another crossover.
People in the industry of Marvel and DC agree with this.
Authors and artists and all this. Yeah.
Yeah. So our thoughts were, number one, how could this help reinvigorate the comic industry? And number two, what kind of story do we think should be told to be able to really pump this up? So, Fox, first of all, what do you think about the idea altogether? How could it help? Why would it be important right now?
It'd be really fun to see because the comic book world has become ignited by fandom.
Yeah.
I'm a DC fan or I'm a Marvel fan. And you should never be just a fan of one thing in an entire medium, essentially. You're always depriving yourself of something amazing. If you are just watching DC movies or Marvel movies, then you are missing out on the good ones that come from others.
Yeah, they're really good.
It's okay to have a favorite, that's fine, but to say that one is bad or and because of that only the other one is good, or vice versa, then you're missing out. And I think
always, with the exception of Star Wars and Star Trek, Star Trek sucks.
I'm gonna kill you. I think no, both of them are kind of bad right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, Star Trek Picard is bad. I think to give people the go-to for a Marvel vs. DC is obviously to have your heroes fight. That's what people want to see. It's what the arguments are about online always. And so that's, I think, the obvious way to go, and it would make sense. And I want to see it also. It'd be kind of lame because that's what they always do, but also it's been a long time, and I want to see that happen again right now.
Yeah, it'd be super duper cool. I also think a time of some sort of unity amongst things that we considered to be opposites would be very, very cool.
Yeah.
Even something as trivial as Marvel and DC Comics, the idea that, hey, these two powerhouses that are usually at odds with each other have come together, especially 2020 election year, just something where there's a sign of people coming together.
Right.
Could be really cool. It would really help make there be something positive around us right now.
Yeah.
Again, in the comics, there'd be conflict, obviously.
100%.
But just
the meta of it.
Right. The meta of it. Seeing huge artists or huge writers from each side coming together and writing stories together and seeing those names together on a page would be so cool and so much fun.
Because I feel like we often can project our own feelings upon an industry. So obviously, Zack Snyder, because he did a lot for DC, hates Marvel movies, right? He did DC movies.
Right.
Nah, he probably loves Marvel movies.
Right.
It's not
very good.
It's not like he's watching Endgame and thinking, oh, this movie sucks.
It's garbage.
There's no Batman in this one. No, obviously not. That makes no sense. And so, yeah, I want to see heads of the company as well as your favorite authors and artists working together to come up with cool stories and a fusion of art styles and things like that.
It's so cool.
To just hey, nah, it's competition because that's what that's how it works. We compete against each other in sales, of course, but nobody's there just saying all of their stuff sucks.
Right. And something like this would help boost sales on both things.
Yes.
You could definitely make a story for a lot of like your minor characters or
Yeah.
whatever else in which, hey, I am a DC fan. There are some minor Marvel characters that I don't know very well, but you know what? Put them in a storyline with Batman, and I'm gonna be interested.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Like, that's something I want to get into. I think we both agree this is a really great idea. It
Yes.
should happen. It could be a boon for just, as a whole, like our attitude toward division right now, but also sales-wise, people are going to want it.
Yeah.
People are going to pay for it. You obviously, I mean, story-wise, you're going to have, how it always happens is one side fights the other, nobody clearly wins, and then they all team up against an external threat. That's essentially how it goes pretty much at all times in any kind of story like that. And I think that's probably what should happen also, because we have to recognize everybody's going to want their own canon. Like, people in charge at DC and people in charge at Marvel aren't going to want their teams destroyed by the others. They still have an image to project and want their characters to be treated well in a certain way. So we also have to recognize, hey, nobody's going to actually quote unquote win.
Yeah.
It's always just going to be like, oh, that was fun. And it doesn't matter. It should be non-canon.
Yeah.
Like, obviously don't
Absolutely.
understand it. But here's one of my big ideas. And I don't think it'll happen, but I think it would be a really
So like
great
the story?
No.
Okay.
No, for the actual event itself.
Okay, what do you
I've
got?
been invested in like big events in Marvel Universe as of late, and what I would want to see in this is hold on, let me get to my list. I want to see them also include other publishers and even webcomic writers.
Oh, that would be awesome. You want Gabe and Tycho to
Yes.
show up.
Yes, I'm not joking.
That would be weird.
No, I don't want them to show up in Marvel Comics or whatever. I want them to have a canon 3-week arc of their own characters on the periphery of some fight that's
Oh,
happening.
that would be
being able
awesome.
to make jokes about what's going on. I want that to happen, and I want Marvel and DC to advertise it. Maybe not Penny Arcade. They don't need help in the webcomic
No.
industry. But here's why I want this to happen is because I think it's a problem that we're just saying Marvel versus DC. Those are the two big superhero comic publishers, but they are by far not the only comic publishers. So I get Image in there, get Dynamite, get Boom, get like all these quote unquote third party, and we only call them third party because they're just not as big.
They're not.
They're just not
Marvel and DC.
They're not Marvel and DC, but Marvel and DC have their own comics, and like I think it's we call them third party. Maybe that's not the standard thing. I call it because of video games.
Yeah.
Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft are first party because they own the hardware. Everybody else is third party because they create stuff for somebody else's hardware.
Right.
Anyway, so I want Marvel and DC to recognize, hey, this isn't just about us. This is about helping the comic industry as well as the webcomic industry, because that's something that's not going away. And there are a lot of webcomic artists who that is what they do. That is their bread and butter. That's their source of income. And so, hey, let's bring in, you can like have comic books are goofy. Have one of them go to the Firefly universe. And so Boom Comics can come in and like, for some reason, there's like some superhero lands on whatever planet that the Firefly gang are on. Or I don't know, Spawn shows up. Something ridiculous where it's like, hey, it's not just these two. There are more comics. Let's give them. And I think that would be way cool also.
I would say for something like this, though, it would be wise for them to have one overarching story that's like 12 months, 12 issues or whatever, that stars 5 main characters from each universe, if that. 3 main characters
You'd
from
have
each
to
universe.
go more than that.
And so
All right.
12-month arc, that is the main why this happening arc.
Sure.
Everybody else can have their own story. But what especially DC, but comics in general suffer from, is trying to give everybody their own moments in the main storyline. What I think would be really important in a situation like this is to not do that. Stories become really convoluted when you try and make there to be an equally heavy conflict for Ant-Man and Superman.
And yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's going to be very, very different cosmic levels of power there. And if you try and put that in the same story arc, but if you gave Ant-Man his own storyline, his entire own thing that he's doing, and it never has to cross over with Superman, I not only would that be just fine, I could buy the overarching one and read all 12 issues and not have to think, now I have to buy all the other ones.
Right.
But I could buy all of them and be able to get those stories without having to do whatever, you know?
That is generally how a big event will happen. You'll have, War of the Realms, the big one that happened last summer, 2 summers ago. One of those. I don't know. You had your War of the Realms. That was a 6-issue storyline.
Right.
And then you had dozens of side stories that all happened, and some of them are more important than others and all that. And yeah, I think that is important to know. Like, I want to be able to read a 12-issue arc or a 6-issue arc or whatever it is and get the story.
Yes.
This is what it's about. But also, you can know more about Ant-Man and is it Captain Atom, who also grows
Captain
really
Atom,
tiny?
yeah.
And they team up and go into the super...
No, the Atom.
The
Sorry.
Atom, whatever,
Yeah.
sure. And they go into the tiny realm and see whatever story they... obviously a lot of comic characters cross over with their styles and their some people that... I won't fuel this company copied this company, but there are a lot of heroes in both companies.
They both copied each other.
They really
a
do.
lot.
They do.
Yeah.
And so poke fun at that. Like make it a joke. And yeah, give us lots of cool stories without needing to know buy everything that has come out.
Right. And as long as I can get complete stories and not have to read, I'll probably want to buy all the other ones at that point. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of stories, let's get to that.
Oh, we want to actually I've got other things that we can go about the whole thing in general.
Yeah.
I'm saying this only because I'm the one who reads comics far more often than between us. I'm the one that you have kids. Yeah, I have far more income right now that I waste on comic books a lot of times. But anyway, I want it to be very big. I want it to be massive.
Yes.
I want at the end of this, there 300 issues of varying levels of importance and whatever, some ridiculous number of things. But I want it all in some portion to be, hey, we're doing to be very visibly, we're doing this because, COVID research or comic book industry research or a donation, some
print, like for print books of any sort.
Sure, we'll give it to whatever libraries. Sure, something that's, hey, this is important to us. So hey, each issue is $5 instead of the standard $4.
Right,
that extra buck goes toward this.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah, So to have some sort of reason other than just here's money. For whatever publishers. I also want it to be non-canon, of course. That's just, always how it's going to be. But also reflect current realities of the various characters. Have them come in. And so while you're reading it, if you pick up the first issue of Iron Man's storyline, if it were to be put out right now, it would also take place in the middle of the AI revolution that's happening currently. And so it'd kind of be a advertisement for the regular series.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, this is fun, but also I actually kind of like that. Maybe I should read this. That's purely just, hey, it's kind of advertisement for the actual comics that, that you might not read, but I don't want it to just be, here's the typical Iron Man versus... I want it to be non-canon, but also with the current realities.
So were you saying that these would all be issues that are on top of the normal monthly issues? Since this one is out of canon.
Oh, you're 100%.
Would they continue publishing
100%
things?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, 100%.
That'd be a lot of work.
Well, sure. That's generally how big events happen, though. Or like you have like Batman. Think about this. You have at least 3 Batman titles at when I was reading the DC the ones I gave you. Like, you had at least 3 at that time. Only one of them, I believe, is canon.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I know All-Star Batman is not.
All-Star Batman was not, but you still had other things. Yeah, maybe the other 2
Detective Comics and Batman, I think, are still both in
Either
canon.
way, maybe you just say it goes to an alternate universe and this is where that takes place.
Yeah.
Some stupid
like
comic
that.
book thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that happens. Like Doctor Strange shows up in so many different stories right now that you're like, some of this can't actually be happening. Or most of the time it's, hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I want the actual current iterations of the heroes that show up to be relevant.
Yes.
Not just, here's Iron Man, here's Thor. I want it to be All-Father Thor. Because after War of the Realms, he became All-Father Thor. Or, this is happening in the middle of him teaming up with Galactus, and that's currently happening in Thor, and it's weird.
Right.
But I want it to be relevant to reward people who actually have read it already, and also to give people an idea of what the comic books look like right now.
That'd be tough though, because then people who are buying comics for the first time might feel a little lost. You don't want to make it easily accessible at the same time.
Sure. I understand. So let me give you an example.
That.
War of the Realms happened. Iron Man was part of it. He had
Right.
2 issues. It was Tony Stark.
One was alcoholism.
Iron Man. One was alcoholism. The other was sex addict.
Yeah.
No, like basically at the beginning of the first Tony Stark Iron Man issue that was part of the War of the Realms canon, it basically was, here's what's happening. I currently don't own Stark Industries. It's this right now. Oh no, War of the Realms is happening. And then it doesn't matter at all what's happening in the Iron Man, but it gives you that like sense of what's happening right now in the comics, so that when War of the Realms ends, it just picks right back up. And so then you can feel like this is a starting point for
All right,
you.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a thing like this would be a starting point for a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah. One last thing that I had, I think there should be digital exclusives.
Oh, okay.
This is a whole idea I have about like a digital platform for reading comics that allows you to collect like covers and exclusives and things like that. But I don't think it should be a thing where we're afraid of digital comics becoming more and more prevalent. I mean, that's just where the world is going. So involve the digital versions of comics in some way, like maybe some lesser series, less common series are only digital. Obviously, you don't have to read them to know the whole story, to know the main story.
Right.
But if you want to, you got to get on Marvel Unlimited or the DC Universe platform or whatever to read those there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'd be for the hardcore fans or the people who happen to already have those platforms.
Or maybe even just like a one shot here and there.
Sure, something like that. But I think it's a mistake to say digital is destroying the comics industry. It might be being a detriment to the physical store, but the comics industry is not selling comics. It's beyond. It's a medium.
Yes.
And so let's give an incentive to people kind of getting into a digital readership because maybe they actually really like it.
Right.
Also, it shouldn't be your main thing.
No.
That would be a detriment to the sales.
Absolutely.
So don't do that. That's all I have for like the big like overarching stuff. But yeah, let's talk about story.
I want to talk about the story.
You've got, I think, a lot more ideas here than I do.
I thought about this a lot, about what would make people really want to watch this.
Sure.
And my very first thought would be have something that's kind of Civil War-esque, but not that pits Marvel against DC, but that pits characters from each. So like Wonder Woman and Captain America are on the same side against Batman and
Tony Stark.
Yeah, something like that, where for some reason, whatever has crossed them over, there is an issue in which the heroes and villains of the universe fall on different sides. And this isn't about them fighting each other. This is about them just choosing different sides against each other.
Sure.
Something to the level of maybe even having like villains work on the Marvel side, work with the heroes on the DC side. Yeah. Things like that. Something where we can see this new interaction of, look, Bullseye, I don't know who you are. We've never met before, but I am Martian Manhunter. And
yeah, it's not like Martian Manhunter would show up and be like, no, you're an evil man.
Right, exactly. So we can work together. We have like goals. And I would say something that's, again, a lot like Civil War, heavy in the moral neutrality of it, in which it makes sense that there are some villains that are like, no, I'm okay with working with the heroes on this, and vice versa. Some heroes that are okay with working in the villains of it. So one of my very first thoughts was something to the nature of something magical on a cosmic level, like words are disappearing, like written word or art as we know it is
so it's getting
disappearing.
meta here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our paper supplies are at an all-time low.
But whatever it is, it has to be looked into, and it's very much like an robot AI type thing where like there's some overarching force that says the way that you've been spreading your art or your media is causing more division than it is, bring together.
Getting pretty obvious there.
Right. Well, bottom line being that there are some ways that people could say man, there's a lot of ways that the way that we talk to each other, social media or whatever else hurts. Like, yeah.
No,
it's
here's
a
what it
really bad
is.
Idea.
The evil villain is COVID-tron from the coronaverse.
COVID-tron.
From the coronaverse, and they have to team up together with the true heroes, nurses and doctors. I don't mean that as a slight. I just like if we're gonna be obvious about it.
But no, really just something that is both artistic, a little. I'm not going to say entirely on the nose, but a little bit referential to the actual issue at hand, why they're doing this at all, and something that allows the characters to still be their characters, not fighting against each other.
Oh yeah, that's play it out. That's boring.
Yes.
Just, it's this one versus the other because that's what it is. Like, it's boring. Let your characters, let this be driven by your authors.
Yes.
Not just by corporate boardrooms.
Yes.
And because authors, I won't say corporate boardrooms don't care. Often it's the authors that rise up to those levels, especially now we see that happening. But like the authors have a care for the characters and know who they are. They are the ones literally writing the words that these people speak. So let them like say, actually, Superman would probably fall on this side. Maybe not, and this kind of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it'd be much more interesting to see where people would align themselves morally rather than corporately.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I like that.
Instead of we need to defend our Earth, so we're all going to fight no matter what. It just being hey, where do we fall morally on this? Or ethically, even at that matter. Where do we fall ethically on this?
That'd be a much more interesting. I also think you can go a little obvious in the we're fighting some disease that's ravaging the multiverse.
That's what Marvel has done so well forever, from way back when there was mutants and everybody's racist against them during all the civil rights stuff going on, to even recently during Civil War, about a decade ago with all of the political conflict going on.
Right.
Marvel's always been great at
creating something that is beyond just I'm good and bad. It's 100%. So bring in that morality, but I'm saying specifically, oh no, we have a disease that's new and ravaging the universe. It's not COVID though. It's this.
Divock.
That's exactly what it would be. I am Divock 91. So yeah, I want to, and I mean, personally, I also want to see some amalgam stuff happening.
I have a storyline for that
too. Cool to happen. I have a storyline
for that.
All right, hit me with it. You're the one here with the stories.
You didn't come up with any storyline?
Not really. No,
okay.
No
storyline. Amalgam.
You're the creative. I'm the business side of this.
So C-list superheroes wake up, and all the A-list superheroes are the amalgams. And it's the job of Marvel and DC C-list heroes to find out why and to find out how to separate them again. And they have to do it they have to fight Darkclaw, and they have to get Darkclaw to become Wolverine and Batman again. And it goes into
just get a chainsaw.
No, then it becomes Dark and Claw. But you have to find out more about these characters themselves, because you have to find out who Darkclaw is, where he lives. Gives you a chance to build a backstory for these amalgam characters. There wasn't really one before. They
were just cool visuals.
Right. More than anything. They had storylines. There were some things, but they didn't go really, really deep into anything. But it gave you an opportunity to be able to do that. And then maybe at the end of the day, when it's all over, to say, you know what was really cool? That one character that we mixed, what if we keep him that way?
Oh, 100%.
What if we share this character or something like that? What if that one never gets separated, but they make twins of that character, and there's the Marvel universe that character and the DC universe that character.
All right.
But something in which that directly involves amalgam, something that New 52 did, not New 52, that 52 the series did, that it kind of flopped then, but I think would work really well now, was to try and take out your main heroes and star your B-list heroes.
Sure.
I think that this would be an opportunity to do that.
100%.
To really let the Guardians of the Galaxy shine.
Yeah.
They're not quite the A-list heroes.
They do have a series currently happening, but yeah, they're still not.
But just something that lets those B-list superheroes shine while they try and fight the amalgam A-list superheroes.
All right, here it is. I've got some creative right now. Good. The creative is flowing.
The creative is flowing.
We're going to go with the whole words,
Not
ideas
creativity.
thing. That's how it works. Nope, the creative's flowing. It's a thing right now in the whole Sandman universe, or at least it was, that there was a library in the Dreaming that was all of the stories and books that authors never actually wrote.
Ooh, I
So
like
we involve that. The place where these come from is the Dreaming is called like the land of stories and things like that. But there is a universe or a dimension or whatever, some comic book thing where ideas come from. And it flows into the real world in the form of written word and whatever, and storytelling. And because those are falling away for some reason, all these characters have to go to this dimension where ideas are formed. And so characters who have the same idea about them
That's super cool.
become the same character. So you have like Thor and Wonder Woman, or some where like their general morality or just like the origin of who they are combine because they embody this idea similarly. And it would be meta, of course. It would be a little like, okay, hey, look, we understand that everybody's like on the side of justice, but that's obviously Captain America and Superman.
Yeah.
That's who they embody, and so they are going to form together to create this hero. Bring some
I
back.
like that. I really like that.
And it would be dumb and comic booky, but it would be super fun. That's where I think you have to have fun rather than I'm going against what I preach usually, and you could still have some real importance to it, like some real good meat to it, some philosophy behind it, but also it should be one where you are saying, okay, it's fun. We're supporting this. We're buying these because it funds some research, of course. Mm-hmm. There's not just because I'm reading a comic book. So let's let it be a little dumb and stupid, but also fun.
My last one, I saved my favorite one for last.
Okay.
Not a full-on crossover universe overlapping, but one day Wonder Woman wakes up and she's just in the Marvel universe.
Okay.
Professor Xavier is now just in the DC universe.
Ooh.
They just have these like exchange of a lot of different characters. Turns out, whomever in my brain, it was Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate meeting in the magic verse.
Because magic.
Whatever. Right. Met some way via magic.
Sure.
They are deciding, you know what? Your world could really use those people right now. My world could really use these people right now. Your world could use an ambassador. Somebody to stand in the middle and say, everybody, please calm down. Let's talk about this. I'll fight if we need to fight. But you, Marvel Universe, need an ambassador right now. Here's Wonder Woman. Our world needs a demigod right now. Thor, a magical demigod of some sort right now. So let's bring him over. But a bunch of these crossovers, and showing how whatever stuff in the storyline was actually kind of already going on in the universe.
Sure.
How it would be dealt with characters from the other universe.
How they would interact.
And then at the very end of it all, they decide to swap some C-list characters. There are characters from the Marvel universe that stay in the DC universe. That would be vice versa.
That's what it sounds like this should all lead into, is just letting trading some characters for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And maybe it becomes a regular thing or whatever, where you just have like what if comics, but all separate universe, separate publisher characters.
But my meta narrative for that one is be where you can do the most good. And it would just be kind of like that message would be hammered in through the whole series is just be where you can do the most good.
Yeah.
And kind of like letting the reader know that as well. Hey, be where you can do the most good.
Jane
Goodall.
Yep, Jane Goodall. Go hang out with those monkeys, those apes. No, Jane Foster. Jane Foster. Yeah, sure. She's Valkyrie, but also she's a doctor. So she says, I'm not Valkyrie right now. People need me in this hospital. I'll be here.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then, Doctor Strange, similar. He's also a doctor. There's actually a recent story where it was a lot of Marvel doctors who are also superheroes came together to do a thing, and it was kind of fun.
So, yeah, I think that would be really cool to see how characters from different worlds deal with the other world, because there is a different, just overarching, I guess, feel to the DC universes versus 100%. The Marvel universe.
Yeah, they have their own thing, and so let those both shine.
Yeah.
Overall, it should be treated with, hey, we're actually trying to do good with this, not just make money or whatever. There should also be some fan service in there that's going to sell some more books.
Absolutely.
If somebody's walking past the shelf or whatever where they see it, or see an advertisement for this is Iron Man versus Batman, if
Batman
they don't
would win.
Sure. Maybe he will. I don't care.
No, he would.
Stop it. Like, just like let there be some fan service so that people who don't read comics might actually be interested. And I saw the Justice League movie and I saw Avengers. I thought Avengers was better, but hey, what if these people fought? So
that'd be pretty cool.
Just let that happen. Like, let it be goofy, but also recognize there is a purpose behind this. You're still laughing at me.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your support. Let us know what you think about a DC Marvel crossover, or like Fox suggested, an entire comic universe crossover.
I want to see some others in there.
That'd be tough because there are a lot of comics out there, but it would still be super cool.
Sure, maybe, yeah. Like, obviously, you'd have to really plan it out, but
yeah. Well, let us know what you think of our ideas. Tell us your ideas of what you think would be a good story or how this would help reinvigorate the comic book industry. We want to say a big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and some of my neighbors do too, off of the album Dear Sam.
Yeah, they recently came out with, I'm just going to advertise for them because they're awesome, but they just came out with a Disney EP where they played 4 different classic Disney tunes in their style, and it's really fun to listen to. It's a compilation, or a team up with another band, New American Classic. It's really fun to listen to.
I listened to
find it on Spotify.
A Dream Is a Wish Your Band Makes.
That's the EP.
And also Make a Man Out of You.
I'll Make a Man Out of You
So
is on
good.
there. Can't Wait to Be King, or whatever that song is called from Lion King, is on
just
there.
Can't Wait to Be King.
Yeah, it's really great. But also I want to point you in the direction of our YouTube channel. If you are listening on another streaming service, we have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/dezandfoxplay. Right now, we have my playthrough of the Mortal Kombat 11 storyline. We have Dez's playthrough of Final Fantasy VII Remake, as well as our playthrough. I believe Resident Evil 3 is still going.
Correct.
But it will be done soon.
Yes.
And next up, we're actually going to start playing it right now.
Days Gone.
Days Gone. We're keeping the zombie theme going with a whole different atmosphere.
That's right.
Though.
Really, we're just trying to keep the plague theme going.
Yeah. It's fun to
It's an appropriate time.
escape reality is what we want to do, but only to a certain extent. It's also set in our home state of Oregon, so I had this idea that I'm revealing to Des right now. We're gonna do some fun Oregon trivia while playing this Oregon set.
Well, you're
zombie
playing,
game.
so congratulations on trying to do both of those.
No,
things
you're
at
gonna
once.
come up with
Nope,
and
too late.
it's gonna happen.
It's your idea.
We've already advertised it. If we didn't,
Dang it!
gotcha. All right, yeah. So jump on there. And also we have like 2,000 videos from. We've got some content, guys. We've got a lot for you. If there's a game you like, it's probably on there. Honestly,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening, and always remember that saved games save lives.
See you next week.